Have you ever stopped to think about what happens after death? And what if I told you there is a second death of the spirit? A fate that goes beyond physical death? Something that could lead to the near complete dissolution of spiritual identity? Today we'll explain the concept of the second death and understand how certain spirits reach a state of near annihilation. We will talk about the astral body, the process of astral degradation, and the dreaded fate of beings who have lost their form and consciousness. Curious to know where this spiritual knowledge comes from? Read the description of our channel or this video description. Here you will find well-founded spiritual knowledge, so make sure to subscribe to our channel or leave a like. It only takes a second and keeps us motivated to keep producing serious spiritual content. Now that you've done that, let's get straight to the point. Unlike physical death, which is the simple disconnection from the material body, the second death is something much more serious and much more terrifying. It represents the dissolution of a being's spiritual structure, a process where the spirit loses its form, identity, and consciousness entirely. But how does this happen? To understand this, we need to talk about the spiritual structure of the human being. We are not just this physical body we see in the mirror. Our true essence is enveloped by energetic layers, the perispirit, or astral body, and the mental body, which carries our memories, thoughts, and identity. When we die, we leave the physical body, but we continue to exist in the spiritual realm with the perispirit. However, if a spirit degrades to the extreme, it may lose even this astral body, and this is where the dreaded second death occurs. If the physical body dies, but the spirit remains alive, what exactly keeps our identity after death? The answer lies in the perispirit, also called the astral body. It is a kind of energetic body that connects our spirit to the material world. It is through the perispirit that disembodied spirits continue to feel, communicate, and even appear to mediums. But the perispirit is not immutable. It reflects exactly the moral and emotional state of the spirit. Imagine the perispirit as an energetic garment. If a person leads a balanced life, this garment remains light, radiant, and flexible. But if the spirit plunges into negativity, vices, and destructive thoughts, the perispirit starts to deform, becoming dense, heavy, and disfigured. In extreme cases, this degradation can lead to the complete loss of the human form when on the other side of life, making the spirit unrecognizable. Now comes the darkest part of this journey. Spirits that surrender to hatred, vices, and destructive thoughts begin to deform their energetic structure, becoming dense, heavy, and increasingly detached from the light. If this degradation continues, the situation becomes even worse. There are spirits that lose all control over themselves, plunging into obsessive and repetitive states. Over time, the astral body becomes a shapeless shell, until, in extreme cases, they lose their human form and become ovoids, a kind of energy cocoon without a face, without identity, and without any trace of individual consciousness. Imagine a spirit trapped in an infinite cycle of destructive thoughts, unable to break free. Scary, right? But this doesn't happen overnight in the astral world. This process is the result of continuous choices, a vibration that becomes increasingly dense. And if you think the suffering stops there, wait until you understand what happens to these ovoid spirits. If this content is resonating with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, or in spiritualist groups you are part of. Deal? The truth is, these spirits have become prisoners within themselves, trapped in an obsessive cycle of pain, guilt, or a desire for revenge. They no longer have a defined astral body, only a dense and amorphous envelope, the result of their own spiritual degradation. And the scariest part? They don't just wander aimlessly. Many of these ovoids are used by obsessing spirits, becoming true tools of spiritual parasitism. Dark beings take advantage of this condition, connecting these ovoids to incarnates to suck their energy or intensify their emotional imbalances. In some cases, these spirits attach to a person's energy field, influencing their thoughts and emotions without them realizing it. But is there a way back for these beings? Is there hope for recovery even in a state of near dissolution? Leave your comment and tell me, what do you think of this view on the second death? Answering the previous question, the answer is yes. It is possible to rescue these spirits, but the way back is painful and requires a long recovery process. These beings no longer have their own consciousness, so they cannot, on their own, seek the light. This is where spiritual mentors come in, who perform real rescue operations, gathering these souls and attempting to reactivate the divine spark they once had. The problem is that, in many cases, the only solution is compulsory reincarnation. These spirits are sent to new existences for short periods of time so they can regain the astral body they lost and slowly relearn how to rebuild their identity. It's not a punishment, but an extreme attempt by higher spirituality to offer a second chance. But here comes the great lesson. No one is immune to this process. Spiritual degradation doesn't happen overnight, but through small slips accumulated over time. The best way to avoid this fate is to cultivate elevated thoughts, seek self-knowledge, and stay connected to the light. If the ovoids teach us anything, it's that the worst prison is not physical, it's mental and spiritual. It is the cycles of negativity, guilt, hatred, and vices that chain us. But just as the path to darkness is made of small choices, the path to light is as well. The decision is always in your hands. See you in the next video. Peace profound.